So at this point, hopefully we have all of our agents created, skills assigned, and all of our media ready to go on my account. Now, so I can go ahead and select new queue, and I can go ahead and create a queue name and assign a number. Now, a good tip is if you are creating this for a live customer, you'd like to test your queue first, I would strongly suggest selecting an extension number so that you can ring this queue internally, check and see that the call is routing the way that you'd expect it to route, and once happy, you can go ahead and edit the queue, remove the extension number, and actually add a valid DDI to it. For this example, I'm going to go ahead and choose an external number for my queue, and then hit next. So at the next screen is where you can now choose different options to how you'd like your calls to be treated within the specific queue. You can see here we have a section called basic behavior and another section for escalation handling. Now, if any of the criteria under basic behavior is met, the call will be routed through to an escalation queue of your choosing. Now, for argument's sake, we can have a call limit of 10. Your 11th call will be routed through to your escalation queue. Likewise for queue timeout, this is the number of seconds that the call will be allowed to ring unanswered in a queue before it also gets routed through to the escalation queue. Now, timeout immediately if empty, this is an option that you would want to use if you don't have any agents logged in currently and a call arrives at that queue. That call will instead be routed through to the escalation queue. Just bearing in mind that timeout will only apply to your agents that are actually either logged in or logged out. It will not apply to agents that are set to away status. So if your agents are set to away, the call will be allowed into the queue and the call will just wait until an agent readies themselves. There is also an option for zero out to call flow. This is quite useful if you would like to give your callers the ability to press zero on their phones and have that call route out of the queue to another destination on the VVP account. For argument's sake, a voicemail, a ring group, or a specific user on the account. There is also an option for display agents to other agents, and this will just allow your agents to see which other agents are actually part of the same queue when they log into the actual Call Center Pro application. The option for record other calls in this queue is currently not implemented, so if you would like to record certain users in your queues, I would strongly suggest going into the dashboard and under the relevant users, go and select customize call recording and do the recording that way. So under the escalation handling, you can see right now I do not have any queues as this is the first queue that I'm currently setting up. However, you can always come back once you've created your queue and you can add an escalation queue here. There is another option over here for escalation call flow after timeout. So if a call is routed in, it matches something in my basic behavior, it will time out to my escalation queue. And if no one in my escalation queue picks up the call, that call will then be routed through to a escalation call flow. This escalation call flow can be anything on the account. It can be a user, a device, a ring group, a voicemail, could be anything. I'll go ahead and select next. And on the next screen, we have our routing strategy. Now, the routing strategy is how your agents are going to be contacted. Currently, I have it set to round robin by default, which means that agent 1 will be rung, then the next call will go to agent 2, agent 3, etc. And once the last agent is rung, then the next call will come through to the first agent, and it'll just keep cycling in a circular manner. If you do intend in using skills-based routing, you can also select skills-based strict or skills-based loose. There is quite a nice explanation on each of these routing strategies and what they do. So we'll go ahead and select next. Now, under the next section is our hold treatment. So this is essentially what your callers are going to hear when they're waiting for an agent to actually pick up the call. Now, the good thing about this is that you can indefinitely set different options to play out, and at any point, if the agent becomes available, the call will immediately break out of this holding pattern and be routed through to the specific agent. So there are a couple of options that I can select over here. You can see there's announce position. So the caller will essentially hear they are X position in queue, and that X position in queue is calculated based on how many calls are before them waiting for an agent to be available. You can also see there's announce wait, and this is going to announce the approximate wait time to the caller as well. Now, this is again calculated based on the calls in a period and how long they take to be answered. So if your call center takes quite a while to speak on the phones, perhaps it's a support call center and calls typically take, for argument's sake, 30 minutes, then that announce wait time is going to be quite high. The other option that you have here is pause, and that'll just essentially be a dead air pause until the next notification is read out. And then your last option that you have here is play a media file. So if you've gone ahead and uploaded your media files to your account, you'll be able to go and select what media files that you would like to actually use here. And you can basically loop as many options as you would like. So if you would like to get rid of this option over here, and we would like to first announce a position to our callers, you go ahead and do that. You can then choose a specific media file to play. Let's say we would like to play some music. Then we would like to announce a wait time after that. Perhaps we would like to insert a pause, and let's say the pause needs to be 10 seconds. Go ahead and do that. And then you can go and repeat the announce position to the callers that phone in. As I said before, you can indefinitely add as many steps as you would like, but as soon as an agent is available, it will immediately break out of the holding pattern and be routed through to the agent. So we'll go ahead and select next once more. And in the next screen over here is essentially how your agents are going to behave in the queue. So at the top over here, you can see there's an agent connection section, and you can see that there's an agent connect timeout. So this is the length of time that the queue will attempt to contact an agent before it will move on to the next available agent. So essentially your ring timer. So you can see quite now we've set this up to 20 seconds, which is fine. You can go ahead and choose any value that suits you here. There is also an option at the bottom of here to force away on rejected and missed. This is quite useful, as potentially if an agent gets up and moves away from their desk and they do not set themselves as away, and a call gets routed through to them, that call will ring for 20 seconds and then move on to the next agent. And if that occurs, the agent that missed the call will be put into an away status. So when they return back, they will need to go and select ready in order to receive any further calls. There is also an option at the bottom of here under recovery time to allow agent recovery time. So this is essentially what a wrap-up time is. So if a call gets routed through to an agent, they deal with that call for whatever period of time and they put the phone down, there will be a essential cool down period that will wait before the next call gets routed through to the agent. So you can see right here, I can say allow a recovery time or wrap-up time, and I can select the length of time before the next call will be routed through to the agent. So this is quite handy if you would like your agents to have a break to complete some administration tasks, if they need to fill out some details about the customer that phoned in, and then the next call will be routed through to them when they're available. There is also an option to allow recovery time extensions. So for argument's sake, if your agents are not able to complete all of the administrative work after the call has completed, there will be an option in their UI, if you enable it, for them to request an extension. And you can also go ahead and select what length of time that extension can be. So you can select 30 seconds in this example. We also do have an option at the bottom of here for allow multiple extensions. This just means your agents can indefinitely keep requesting time extensions until they're ready to actually receive the next call. So let's go ahead and select next. Oh, I didn't add a value here. Let's just make this 10 seconds. We can go ahead and select next. So the last part of this configuration is now choosing which agents are going to be part of this queue and what rights they're going to have within the queue. So you can go ahead and start selecting your agents. Let's say I would like agent 1. You can see here, once I select agent 1, I can now choose if I would like user 1 to be an agent in this queue, or if I would like user 1 to be a manager of this queue. So let's say user 1 is going to be an agent. Go ahead and add them to the queue. Let's say user 2, I would also like them to be an agent of this queue. And let's say that user 5, I would actually like them to be a manager of this queue. You can see on the right hand side, All of my members have been assigned with their relevant permissions associated. Okay, now just also bear in mind that you can actually have agents that are agents of one queue, but are members or managers of a different queue. This is all based on how you're actually going to be setting up your queues. So I'm happy with that. I can go ahead and select next. And then the last view over here is just a quick overview of all of the configurations that you've done in the previous steps. So you can quite quickly flick through all of this and make sure that you haven't made any mistakes and everything looks great. And once you're happy with that, you can go ahead and create queue at the bottom over here. You do also have the ability to print this out at the top here. So if you would like to keep a hard copy of this, perhaps give it to the customer and get them to confirm that the queue setup is the way that they would like it, you can go and print it out if you'd like. But I'm happy with my queue, so I'll go ahead and create queue. And you can see there's my queue with the external number all ready to go.